It's oh so quiet. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. It's oh so clear. I wasn't expecting to do. Oh, I'm a little high, aren't I? Well, come on down. Don't worry. Nope, too low. Now you can see the laundry in the back, because as always, I'm doing laundry in here. I wasn't expecting to do a big old video today, and I may not. Maybe I'm just going to trim this into an Instagram short, because those get so many more viewers and take so much less time to edit. And I don't know, do people actually watch these videos? I don't know. I think there's some very devoted people who do, but it's a lot of work. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to continue, but I do know that I have something very exciting today, which is the Lisa Eldridge Desert Gleam collection, which was a new eyeshadow palette and 3 new lipsticks. I have 2 of them. They're in her refillable format. And then I have a few odds and ends of other products to try as we can. I have a matte foundation, a powder foundation, which scares me because that's not really my forte, but maybe we'll try it today and see. It's the new MAC Studio Fix, what is it called? Powder Plus Foundation. I have mine in NW18. I don't have anything really from MAC other than I have Cool Spice, which is what everybody has, MAC, the one lip pencil that everybody has from MAC, and it's so challenging to get. But I had seen Not Fit for Print Beauty, Rebecca, and she was saying that this is the finest powder foundation she's ever tried. And so I thought, well, I'm going to give it a try. I certainly don't have much MAC to review, but I thought we could mix it in with the new Lisa Eldridge products and a few other favorites here and there and go from there. So let's see. Let's start. I'm going to start. I do know when using a powder foundation, like I like the one from Makeup Forever. I think I have maybe 1 or 2. Like I said, I don't use them much. I know Natasha Denona has one people like. You want a primer that's extremely hydrating. So I'm going to use my Yummy Skin Glow Serum in the pink shade from Danessa Myricks, who herself is teasing something new. It looks like either a new frosted lip product, or it looks like maybe like an eyeshadow stick, very reflective. So I'm interested to see what that is. As this kind of seeps in, I want it to seep in for just a minute or two. I'm going to go in and do my brows, and for that I have my Victoria Beckham Baby Brow in light brown. I like this. It's not as fine as, say, the Benefit one, which is kind of my favorite, but it works, and it's really nice. It has that kind of triangle shape that's popular that a lot of companies do now, and it does fill them in faster. It's maybe not as precise as, say, the Benefit, but it does fill them in nice and fast, and I find this soft brown color to be pretty good, universal. And of course it's got the spoolie on the other side. My eyebrows are crazy and out of control, but like I said, I wasn't planning to do a full-fledged video today, so we're just gonna go with it. Got my Rare Beauty eyeshadow primer. So I went to Springfield, Missouri this past weekend because my best friend lives there. And when I was there, I took for the first time my Danessa Myricks times my Kitco brush set. I have the entire brush set. That was kind of my birthday present to myself this year, and they are so nice. I don't know what all of them do because I think there's about 40 of them total, but really beautiful products. So I would definitely recommend them. Let's see. Okay, we've got our primer on. Let's go ahead and do foundation, because I know in the past with Lisa Eldridge products, they don't really, there's not a ton of fallout. So I know that you can either use the pad that's on the bottom, or you can use a brush if you want a more diffused look. I think what I'll do is do the spots where I have a lot of redness with the pad, and then maybe go in with the brush for the rest of it. So I've let my primer sit for just a minute. It's picked up a decent amount. I think it's kind of an interesting shape. Okay. It's maybe a hair dark for me, but it's really a good match. I think it's actually perfect. This may be the shade that I use to shade match from now on. Are there other really good MAC products I should try? I've heard that concealer that comes in the thing that looks kind of like a syringe. Okay, this is a lot of coverage. But it's lightweight. It doesn't feel heavy at all. Huh. Maybe Rebecca over at Not Fit for Print Beauty, one of my favorite creators and a sweet person, maybe she's really onto something with this. Anyway, I've heard that concealer that comes in the kind of syringy looking tube is really good. And I notice it's on sale right now at Selfridges. Can someone explain to me why certain things are so much cheaper at Selfridges than they are here? Like, a lot of Prada makeup is cheaper at Selfridges than it is here. Now, obviously, some of our makeup is more expensive here than it is there, and vice versa. I would say, in general, they're probably a little bit more, especially when you pay duties and shipping and that sort of thing. But I've noticed that some brands are actually cheaper, even after duties. So, I don't know. Selfridges has that package that if you spend $100, you can get unlimited 2-day shipping international. So it's a really good deal. That looks really nice. I'll be interested to see. I guess I don't need to powder set this. I probably will set it with like spray. Let me grab a brush or two. I want to do the areas that don't have, where I don't need a ton of coverage. I just want to lightly hit those. And that's what the brush application will do. Any areas, and then it will just kind of even out. I gotta say, that looks pretty good. It's not perfect. If I wanted, I could have gone in with like my Lisa Eldridge concealer pencil and done a few areas that are red, but that coverage is really beautiful, and that's a good color match for me. So I need to remember NW18 is a good match, which is a shame because I always like to pretend that I am a cool, but apparently I have some warm in me, at least when as far as MAC is concerned. So let's grab a concealer. For concealer, what I'm going to use, let's see, is the Victoria Beckham. This came out last year with Augustinus Bader, if that's his name. And I really like this. It's a light coverage, but it really does look beautiful when it's on. It reminds me a little bit of the YSL. What is that? Prisme Libre. No, that's Givenchy. What is it called? The YSL Touche Eclat, the pen. It's got that same consistency, which I don't always like, but it's fine to put it down with. And that's a really beautiful product. I would say wait until there's a sale, which now that it's at Nordstrom and Saks and not just at Bergdorf Goodman, you have a better chance of getting a sale on the Victoria Beckham product. But one thing I noticed recently was Blue Mercury had up to 30% off on Victoria Beckham, and that's rare. She has sales occasionally on her page, but 30% off is a really good deal for her, and that concealer is definitely worth the money at 30% off. That looks really nice. I'm going to set it just lightly with my La Prairie, talk about bougie, my La Prairie setting powder, my favorite, best setting powder on the market. I think it is the finest setting powder. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of that. If you've never tried the La Prairie setting powder, it is an experience. I know everybody has their favorite powders, but this one is really spectacular, and it can be used under the eyes. It can be used everywhere. Of course, for the price, it should be able to. You should be able to like cock a tub with it. It is perfection though. And it doesn't take a ton. You do get a lot of product for the price. You get a full size and a trowel. I don't need to do much, I don't think, because like I said, it was a powder foundation, so I don't think I need to put a ton of powder on it, but it did set that under eye beautifully. It's so silky and smooth. I'm going to take that brush that I had the MAC on and just kind of gently go over the edge there, because there's a slight, the Victoria Beckham is a slightly lighter color, but this will blend it in really nicely. Okay, let's get to some rest of the foundation outside face products before we can get to our new Miss Queen Lisa Eldridge. One thing that I really enjoyed of late, and I've just got a few, I've got them in contour shades, but I know they make them in blushes, bronzers, and highlighters as well, are these new Makeup Forever, what are they called? Professional Series Artist Color Crayons. I have mine in 4L01 and 5B02. 4L01 is a little bit lighter than Biscuit by Westman Atelier, which is, you know, the gold standard for contour. This one's slightly darker. The two together make a beautiful set. They're not at the same level as like the Westman Atelier, but they're much more affordable and they're easy to travel with. So I like to do kind of a larger swath with the lighter one. They blend beautifully too. Now, of course, I'll see how they blend on a powder foundation because I haven't done that yet. And then go in and just do a much smaller amount of the darker color. I say that, but I feel like I've done almost as the same. No, it's a little bit less. Let me grab a dense brush so we can work that in. Okay, so I have a dense brush here, and we'll just work that in and see how it does with the MAC. Okay, it blends in beautifully. I was wondering how like cream and liquid products would look on top of this powder foundation, but they've done a really nice job. Of course, those of us with no hair have the constant struggle of how far do you go up with the makeup, and then what I do is I just take from the top and run back a little bit, and then if I have any lines or anything, I can take a clean brush and brush those out. Okay, so we have done that, and I think it looks really nice. I want to do a little bit of bronzing, not a ton, as part of that Blue Mercury sale. I did pick up the Victoria Beckham bronzing brick, and this is in shade 2, so I'll be interested to see how this works. It is matte, but I've heard extremely good reviews about it. And I'm just going to kind of do a toasty look, because you'll see in a second that this Lisa Eldridge palette has a desert toasty kind of feel to it. This is a really natural looking bronzer. I like that a great deal. And as part of the same sale, I picked up one of the Victoria Beckham blush sticks. I haven't tried these before, but this is very nice. I did try it over the weekend and I quite liked it. This is in the shade Playground. So I'm just going to grab a little of this on a brush. Now, much like Victoria Beckham, you're getting a small amount of product, but it is a quality product. And like I said, if you can get a sale, Victoria Beckham, her packaging and her products are outstanding. They're expensive and you get very little product sometimes, but they are wonderful. Now I say that, but that bronzing brick, you get a ton of product. So I guess it just kind of depends. The eyeshadow pot, you get a lot amount, a lot with, but now like this bronzing or this blush stick and the concealer, you don't get a ton of product with. It's pigmented though, so you don't need a ton. For a quick highlight, I'm going to grab my new sort of favorite Lit From Within Easy Highlighter, which is the one from Prada. I have mine in the champagne shade, and as long as you use a nice dense brush, you do have to use a dense brush because it's got a cream formula, but it's a beautiful highlighter and you can get a real payoff. But like again, if you use like a fan brush or something like that, it's going to be really, really subtle. Which you might like, but I like a little bit more than that. So I like a dense brush like this with this kind of product. Same with like the Westman Atelier. I like a denser brush with like their Peau de Pêche, Peau de Santé, Peau de Peony. So I definitely would recommend trying out the Prada. Again, if you get it from Selfridges, it's like half the price. I don't know why. Okay, let's get to the new Lisa Eldridge collection. Very exciting. It's called the Desert Gleam collection. The inspiration is safari, safari photo shoots of the 1970s and 60s mixed with glam Studio 54. So when you look at some of the inspirational photos on her website, you see that she's got a lot of photos that really depict those photo shoots of the late 60s, early 70s, but with that kind of Halston desert, super high glam metallic thing going for it. So this is the new palette and I tried it over the weekend. It is spectacular. It's Desert Gleam. It runs fairly neutral. There are this goldish color here is warm. It's a warmer gold, but everything else runs fairly neutral. I'll throw a clip up in the corner of the swatches. It's a beautiful, beautiful palette. What I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate a look I did over the weekend, and I'm going to just kind of put down a base with the new Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner in Terracotta. This is a beautiful toasty color, and I'm just going to kind of go along the lash line. I'm not worried about it being perfect, but create kind of a smudgy shape going out a little bit. Same thing over here. You don't need to worry about it being too perfect. And just kind of go along the lash line. These are so beautiful, these liners. And while I'm at it, I can just go ahead and do the waterline. This liner works really beautiful with this new Desert Gleam collection. I sometimes feel like Lisa Eldridge and Victoria Beckham must be on phone calls together because sometimes their collections work so beautifully together. I know Lisa Eldridge does a lot of work with Lancome, but Victoria Beckham and her often are on the same page. Maybe it's that British sensibility. The sponge on the back, I'm just going to kind of smudge this out along the waterline. And of course I can go back when we apply the color to clean it up, but I'm just trying to create a smudgy, toasty brown look with this terracotta color. It's a really earthy, warm, beautiful liner color, but it doesn't make you look sickly like sometimes the warmer colors can. You can see right there by itself. I mean, it would be really beautiful. So we've done that. So let's grab the new Desert Gleam palette, and I will tell you, it is really beautiful. This is the second palette that she's put out this year. Originally, I think it was 2 years ago, there were 6. And then last year she put out a new one, which was really nice. It was kind of a neutral. And then she's put out 2 this year, Betty in the spring, which was an all metallic, spectacular palette, like top 5 of the year level. And then now this one is lovely too, and it's got more it's more grounded, but with those high metallic sheen. So I'm going to go in with the color, what's it called, Dunes, which is a matte kind of toffee color. And I'm just going to do that through the crease and connect a little bit and pull over some of that Victoria Beckham. Now Lisa also has her Burnt Umber, which I'll show you in a minute, her Burnt Umber mascara, because it works really well. She also has a Burnt Umber liner. It would work really well with this too. Those came out earlier with the Betty collection, but they would be just as beautiful with this if you have them. You probably wouldn't necessarily have to get the Victoria Beckham liner, although I like Lisa's liners. The Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liners are my favorite on the market though, so I would get them. And then I'm going to just run a little bit of that Dunes color under the bottom. This turned out really well over the weekend, or at least I thought it did. And what I did was I then created a cat eye shape using the bottom khaki color Sahara. You'll want to use a denser brush with this color because this is one of her more like cream to powder, so it comes on softer at first, but you can build it up unlike the others. And I'm going to use a Rephr 28 for that, and I'm going to place that on the outer corner into that liner shape I created, and then on the inner corner. And create this kind of halo shape. This worked really well and was really impactful. You just want to make sure, unless you just want a light wash of color, if you're trying to use this formula, which she calls her velvet formula, her other matte is called Seamless Matte. These velvet formula ones, you want to use a denser brush because they are very reminiscent of like the Natasha Denona cream to powder. So they require building unless you use a dense brush. I would use a primer with anything like this too, just so that you can have some grip, but also you know, it's going to make the colors appear even more vibrant. So I've gone in here, and I can go back in and touch that up in a second, but with that, and created that kind of cat eye, not cat eye, what the fuck am I talking about? Halo eye. Okay. He's losing his mind. Very little actually, that's not even fallout. That's from my brush. So I'm going to go in now because I want this to really stand up. You would not have to do this step, but I really like it, which is to grab like your Pat McGrath Intensify wand and put that on, or your glitter glue. I'm going to do that off camera and then I'll come back. So I've got my Pat McGrath Intensify wand on, and so what I'm going to do now is go in with that same dense brush and grab some of the color Acadia or Acacia, which is the Seamless Matte, which is her very highly pigmented matte, and just run that along the kind of where that toffee color was that I put down from Victoria Beckham, just along the lash line in that outer third, just for a slight bit of depth. And I'm going to grab just a tiny bit of it and do the outer portion of the bottom lid too. And you can see it just works really well and earthy with that Victoria Beckham. That combination looks really good. Okay, so what we're gonna do for the inside is kind of like a tiger eye. So I'm gonna grab the color Ablaze, which is a metallic. It's a beautiful neutral bronzy color. And I'm gonna put that on the inner portion and the outer portion, but right on the edge of where that green was. And I'm gonna leave the center open. So I'm gonna grab and just put it right here and then over here. And I like these using a finger. I think you get a lot of payoff with that, but you don't have to. Lisa's formula is so nice, you don't have to do that. And I'm creating a bracket. Same thing on the outer portion. And I'm leaving the center kind of empty and hollow so that I can go in with Firefly, which is that metallic golden green color. And I'm going to put that in the center, but I'm going to be a little bit higher. I'm going to run it up quite a bit, almost to the top of my crease, and kind of fan it out. Very concentrated down here, up to lighter up here. And it's going to create kind of a tiger eye with the other colors. So I'm going to go really concentrated down here and meet it up with that other color. But I want to make sure that I'm not going over it because I want distinct lines for this particular look. And then I'm going to go lightly, and I'm just going to kind of press it up to the center and create like a point. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a focus, and it gives, by doing those distinct lines and not blending it all together, it really gives it like that kind of tiger look. This is a cool color that I normally would probably be scared of. And then again, I'm going to pull it up, but with less concentration, almost to the brow. And then if I want, I can go back in with that brown color and just highlight over that edge a little bit in case anything got diffused. Same thing over here. I think that's a really cool look. So the last thing I'm going to do is take the final color in this, which is Crayon, Chrysyna, Cressina. I'm not sure what that's called. I'm probably fucking that up. But it is one of her luminous finishes. The other two were metallics. The luminous ones are more inner corner. They're more toppers. They tend to have like a duochrome. This one is a silver, very neutral, but it can go either way with warm or cool, but with a silver with a green shift. I'm going to stick this in the inner corner. It's a beautiful inner corner color. And I'm going to wrap it up with my finger and pull it up and diffuse it almost to where that line from that tiger eye was. This is a very dramatic look. You could obviously take this down a peg if you wanted. And I'm even going to diffuse it a little bit with my finger because that got a little bit heavy, but that should tell you about how much pigment you can get with these. I'm also going to take it a little bit on my finger and just lightly go along the bottom of the lash line, which I realize is not standard, but if we're going to go full disco, let's go full disco. On the inner third down here, I'm going to grab a little bit of that Firefly color, just a little bit, and just do it on the tear duct portion, on the inner portion right there. I mean, this is a 70s full glam look, but you could get a really beautiful day look with this too. Okay, So next, I've already done the liner, so I don't need to do that again. What I am going to do is a small kind of wing, but a really small one. I don't want it to be overwhelming. And so one product that I really love is the Stila double-ended liquid liner, and this is in the brown color. It has the tiniest tip, and so you can get a really detailed little line, but because it's tiny, it's so much easier to control. It has a larger tip on the other side for like filling in holes, or if I wanted to do a full line across, but I'm only going to go from like the outer third over. I don't need to do a full line with this. It's dramatic enough. Same thing over here. There's something about this tiny tip that makes liquid liner so much easier. So that's not perfect. Those are cousins, not sisters, not twins. I'm gonna grab my Repper lash curler, and then I'm going to grab from the Spring Lisa Eldridge collection the Burnt Umber mascara, which is really beautiful and works perfectly just as it did with Betty, the palette in the spring. It very easily could have come out with this collection too. And I like this Lisa Eldridge mascara a good deal. So I'm going to grab that and throw that on. It's a warm brown color, but it's not super brown. It's not overly dramatic like the YSL, although the other day I did put on a couple of coats and I was able to build it up a lot. But if you just wanted something light, you could just do one coat. Of course, with this look, as dramatic as I've gone here today with the pigment and the Intensify wand and the primer and all that, clearly we're going full 70s here. And the now that you see the toasty bronze Victoria Beckham bronzer and that color, what was it, Playground I think it's called, yeah, blush, you can kind of see it's all coming together now in a bronzy look. So that's that. The other thing that Lisa came out with as part of this collection were 3 lipsticks. One was kind of a chili red color. I did not pick that one up. Maybe I will one day when it goes on sale. But I did pick up 2 other colors from her. This first one, I believe, is called Toasted. And it is a beautiful kind of caramel color. The other one, I think it's called Raya. Don't quote me on it, but I will put those swatches up in the corner at the beginning of this video. And it is a much more dark kind of mauve-y color, like a dark mauve chocolate kind of color. So they're both really beautiful. I think what I'm going to do today is Toasted, but what I'm going to do first is just put a little of this on just so you can see the color. It's dark, but it's not intimidating. And this formula is kind of like a satin. It's not like a Gucci or even like the Lisa Eldridge mattes, which are really nice. This is a satin. But you can see that's a beautiful color and it goes well with this. But I want to try the Toasted today. So I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to go in with a liner. I don't have any Lisa Eldridge liners. Lisa, you're more than welcome to send some if you'd like me to try them. So I'm going to grab a Fenty liner. And this is in the color Peanut Butter. I think that's what it's called. The writing is, yeah, peanut butter. The writing is so small on these. And I'm just going to do a simple line. This isn't her, this is not Fenty's darkest color. It's kind of a neutral It's actually kind of the color of that Raya color from Lisa Eldridge. I think those would match up really well. In this case, I like it. It kind of is like your lip color, but better. Westman Atelier's new Biscuit would work really well with this too. Although Westman Atelier's Biscuit works well with everything. It's kind of crazy here. So I live in Oklahoma City. I know nothing about basketball, but they won the national championship last night. So there's going to be a parade later this week. And it got really loud with fireworks and stuff last night. So that was cool. And then my boss said that I can work remote tomorrow, as well as a couple of other coworkers, because they're doing, you know, these activities, and it's going to be kind of crazy down here. So I'm going to grab the toasted color, and I just have mine in the refill, but what I can do is pull out the other one from the bullet and stick toasted in the bullet, which I'll probably use it more anyway because it's a lighter color. And the nice thing about the Lisa Eldridge bullets is they are secure, and it's not jiggling in here like sometimes you have with other refillable products. So this she described as kind of a nude 90s lip, but in a much more approachable color than say like those MAC ones, which were like concealer lips, but they were a little challenging to work with sometimes. This color is very, you know, becoming, and it works so well with this palette. So I did notice over the weekend, I didn't take a lipstick with me when I went out, because I normally don't. And these have really good staying power, but when I wanted it to, you know, have some more shine or to brighten it up, the new Prada lip gloss, what are these, like the lip oil sticks, and this is in the shade Brown, which is available overseas right now, not here quite yet, but again, you can get it at Selfridges on the sale that's going on right now. It's really beautiful. I'll show you just a sample of it. It's tighter in consistency than like the YSL, but it has the same beautiful shine. And you can see it's got just a browny taupey color, and it works really well with this Lisa Eldridge. Or if you are, you know, not wanting to buy the Lisa Eldridge lipsticks, which I'm not recommending, they're really beautiful, but you could get this and throw it with like a brown liner, like the Biscuit one or the peanut butter one, or, you know, other Cool Spice from MAC, and this would be a beautiful alternative. It would be lighter too. So finally, I'm going to take my D'Alba spray serum, and I'm just going to spray this down because the Pat McGrath would work really well too. With the powder foundation, you want it to set. And I think that that is a beautiful safari 90s, 1970s mix, featuring some new products to me, but also really highlighting the beautiful new Desert Gleam collection from Lisa Eldridge, who is one of my favorites. They are just really lovely products. You can tell she puts a lot of time and effort into them, as well as those palettes that she makes for Lancome at the holidays. Those are always a favorite. But this palette is really spectacular and looks really beautiful. So I hope if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. It really helps. And please consider shopping my links. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps my channel. And then of course, yeah, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Unsolicited advice on YouTube and on Instagram. And I'm going to get to folding now. So I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.